Okay, let's test this now, see if this is working. Okay, good. For whatever reason, in my settings, my mic was shut off. So, to repeat myself, I meant to do more of this yesterday, and thanks to things happening the way it did, I ended up sleeping through a good portion of when I would normally stream. So I figured I'd do something a little longer today. Haven't gotten much past the opening section on this. In fact, we're kind of still in the middle of the opening section as it is. All we've done so far is kind of the very initial stuff and choose who our initial companion is going to be. So let's make our way out of the area into the city. But and the little tooltip there is kind of interesting. The fact that, yes, sometimes failure can be more helpful than success, which is always interesting. Failure can always lead to some surprising results. And there's nothing I double checked through everything right now. There's nothing I can do about the game's brightness, so some stuff is just going to be dark. Unfortunately, I wish I could do something with it, but right now, with the setup I got, there's nothing I can really do. So let's find out Let's go to the Cult of the Changing God. They are encamped by the clock in the Great Square here. Horrified man. This man stares at the execution in utter horror. He cannot look away. No crime deserves such a punishment. How can this be allowed? What exactly is happening here? A waking nightmare that they call it an execution. He shudders. The unfortunate victim is put into a trance that forces him to speak his nightmares. His words spill out of him as a rope of flesh, which is wrapped around his body until it crushes him to death. Ugh, that is excessive. He shakes his head, and the indignity doesn't end when the poor wretch finally dies, for then the devourer of wrongs eats his flesh. Scan thoughts. It's not just, but what can be done? Everyone considers it tradition. Why is everybody watching this? Animals. They find pleasure in cruelty. Let's see. This woman listens intently to the ravings of the man on the nearby dais, hanging on every word. She gives you a hesitant smile. Can you understand it? I know he is speaking great wisdom, if only I could decipher it. So what's happening here? An execution, she gestures toward the man on the dais. They put the condemned in a trance, and he speaks of the wondrous things he sees. His words become tendrils of corrupted flesh, which are wrapped around his body until they crush him to death. Then the devourer of wrongs eats him. Scan thoughts. I think I nearly understood that last. It's like they have two very different reactions to this. Why is everyone watching this? She shudders. Most are only thrill seekers and the morbidly curious, but some gather to hear the words of the condemned. They contain the most sublime truths, for they are born from dreams of death. We listen and try to understand their meaning. Let's see. Spectator. Talk to the unmoved woman. This woman stands at the back of the crowd, arms crossed and eyes cool as she watches the slow execution. Unlike the others, she's also watching the people in the crowd. She shakes her head. Depressing. Same thing what's happening here. Another in a long series of pointless executions. She points to the man with the rope of flesh coming out of his mouth. The poor bastard they're killing is put into a trance. Okay, this is same stuff. Scan thoughts. I feel like someone should do something. Why is everyone just watching? She sighs. It's what passes for entertainment in this town. People like to watch other people suffer. Takes their minds off their own suffering, I guess. It's not why I'm here, though. I just got sucked in. Scan thoughts. I want to stop it, I guess, but what can I do? Well, we'll say farewell. See what we can learn. Named character, Levy. This person is large and broad-shouldered, and his steel armor is painted in the silver and indigo colors of Sagus. He seems to be an ordinary or constable of the city. Too ordinary, perhaps. In his face, you can see his features are plain, forgettable, almost generic. Not only that, his eyes are a little too large, his smile too firmly fixed upon his face. He may look human, but his mind feels like a complete blank. Are you with the City Watch? Soldier peers at you, smile never leaving his face. You must be a stranger to this city, perhaps from one of the Autochthonous tribes along the frontier. I'm sure I screwed that up. Allow me to welcome you to Sagus Cliffs, visitor. He speaks the final word like a title, almost an honorific. I am Levy. You may rely upon me and others like me for protection and assistance at the discretion of the council and the slave family. What's happening here? For treason. The condemned man was found selling state secrets to a foreign power. I'd like to go up on the platform. I am privileged to inform you that you cannot. The Levy manages to make it sound like a piece of excellent news. If you wish to discuss the matter further, please direct your inquiry to the official in charge. He points to the indigo-clad man on the projecting edge of the dais. Examine the Levy carefully. If you saw the face of this man on the streets of a city, you wouldn't glance at him twice. His features are utterly ordinary and forgettable. Not too ugly, not too handsome. It is, indeed, almost like he is an average of many thousands of men, their idiosyncrasies and imperfections merged into a bland middle ground. The exceptions, of course, are the eyes, which are just a bit large for the face, and the fixed, ever-present smile. Taken together, the man's features give you a vague sense of unease. Who are the council and the slave families? Govern the city? Indeed so. Each slave family sends one representative, usually the head of the family, to sit on the council. We are required to follow the commands. You call yourself a levy. What does that mean? Every citizen is required to raise a levy for the protection of the city. In times of war or strife, citizens are sometimes called to raise additional levies. But this has not been required since the Dread Destroyer crossed the northern frontier 34 years ago. Levies are raised by citizens? Yes, a year of life is taken from a citizen. The lost year is used to create a levy. He pauses ever so briefly, though his smile remains fixed in place. That is why our lifespans are precisely 1 year long. When our spans are up, we degrade into our component matter. If you're curious about the process, I have been instructed to direct you to the Order of Truth, where you may observe the machine that is our parent. Well. So you really serve the council, not the people of the city. A brief pause. Yes, that is correct. I'm going to say farewell. Levy. Ye the Overseer. That's because and I'm always one of those ones, especially in a setting like this, you want to find out as much as you can. So it's best to talk to everyone when possible, especially for this being a slower style RPG as opposed to very much an action RPG. A stout middle-aged man stands atop the execution platform. He wears the badge of a city official, and a fringe of dreadlocks hangs down into his shoulders from the otherwise bald pate. He gives you a disinterested look as you approach. Please stay back with the others. What's going on here? He casts a brief glance over his shoulder toward Riss. The prisoner, Riss of Flatwater, is being publicly executed as a warning to all who would flout the laws of Sagus Cliffs. I'm already screwing up reading. What is Riss's crime? Treason. He sold state secrets to the enemies of Sagus Cliffs. No easy to say, but I might as well. Has the execution worked? He sighs. Another stick. It's very sad. Our nanos induce in him a hallucinogenic state. In this state, he experiences visions, nightmares, really. He speaks of the things he sees, and his words become flesh as they leave his mouth. We shape the flesh into a human-like form. The death you see beside him. He gestures toward the hideous figure who looks to be made of rotting viscera. Any more escape his mouth, as more strands escape his mouth, his death wraps around him, and they slowly crush out of him. Once the condemned is dead, the devourer of wrongs will eat his corpse. He raises his chin, proud. This is justice upheld in Sagus Cliffs. What do his words mean? He shrugs. Some believe there is wisdom to be gained from the rantings of the condemned. I've never gleaned any. Others say that the torment of the condemned means nothing, but it deters would-be criminals from committing offenses of their own. I've never noticed that to be true. The devourer of wrongs eat executed criminals. He smiles, grim. He is one of Dendra Ahur, who can suck the memories of the dead from their marrow. In those memories is not only the proof that the condemned were guilty, but also the names of their compatriots and other associates. Many an accomplice has been found in the belly of the devourer. Scan thoughts. I'm sure Riss wasn't working alone. We'll find all his friends soon enough. Let me ask you something else. Well, that's not true. Who are you? He bows slightly. I am Yin, overseer of capital punishment, charged by the council with organizing public executions and making sure they run smoothly. Say farewell. Which... Tyber... Excited man. This man watches the execution with fevered eyes. He shakes his fist. Traitor! Traitor to the city! As you approach him, he gives you a savage grin. Nothing better than seeing a traitor die, eh? Let's see. Okay, nothing terribly new. He's enthusiastic. Tyber. Pacing at the edge of the crowd is a paunchy old soldier with a swaggering stride. At the moment, however, his jauntiness seems overshadowed by worry, and he alternates between watching the execution and searching the crowd as if looking for a miracle. Then his eyes light on you. Scan thoughts. I've never seen your face before. This might be the break I need.
You
look like
someone who believes in justice. How'd you like to help a poor soul wrongfully condemned?
What kind of help do you need? I don't need anything, but my friend there on the platform is dying. The nightmares his executioners have induced in him spill from him with every word he speaks, and wrap around him like a cake. He glances at the execution. I know there are but a few around him now, but in a few days' time they'll choke the life out of him. I can't imagine a more horrible way to die. He pauses. Well, that's not true. I have imagination that would shame a sailor. He leans in. You'll need to be swift and willing to hold justice above law. But there's a way to save him if you'll hear me out. Who are you? Captain Lanchan Tyber, retired, he says with a little bow. Extremely retired. Once a soldier of fortune, its plaything. He takes another look at Riss. But my story can wait. Saving Riss's life comes first. Let's see what he says about why his friend's being executed. A misunderstanding, he says, waving a dismissive hand. Riss and I were hired to deliver some expensive brandy to an out-of-town buyer. He breathes a sigh and waited with disgust and regret. Would you believe that the bottles were stuffed with secrets? Riss was accused of selling information to the enemy of Sagus Cliffs. They called him a traitor. It was a travesty, he growls, eyes blazing with righteous fury. The poor lad had no idea what was in there. Scan thoughts. Tragic. If he'd known, he might have too. Then we wouldn't be in this mess. But you did, right? Well, he says, studying the air over your shoulder, there's a place for thinking about what I know and what I don't. This isn't the place. He clears his throat. If you were part of the scheme, why aren't you up there with him? Luck, he says, shrugging. I was taking a piss, came for him. Went through the back window and scampered up the road. Up to the roof, sorry. He shakes his head. I watched poor led away from my hiding spot. Swore I'd get him free. I hope it's a promise I can keep. I want to talk to your friend. Are you mad, Tyber sputters? It's an execution. He's surrounded by levies. They won't let you near him. And even if they did, he's out of his head. You but gibberish from him. Scan thoughts. And if he doesn't speak gibberish, no, best to assume it's gibberish. I still want to try. Tyber holds up his hands. As you wish. Just don't say I didn't warn you. The levies are not to be trifled with. What's your plan? A simple one, but it requires nerve. Listen. He lowers his voice. It would be nothing for someone of your noble demeanor to masquerade as an official and ask the council clerk for an copy of an old stay of execution. Once you have it, I'll write out a fresh one and add Rissa's name. Then we'll present it to the overseer here, and poor Riss will be set free. His hands. There you have it. Foolproof, risk-free plan. Sounds like an extremely risky plan. Nonsense, he said, a hand. Couldn't be simpler. Be calm, confident, and wear a winning smile. He gives you a smile. Where do I find the council clerk? He'd be in Government Square, of course. There's a podium outside the council tower. I can't think of a time he wasn't there. Would it be simpler to talk to the crowd at the execution, convince them to rise up and free Riss? Tyber looks uneasy. Well, you're welcome to try, friend, but leave me out of it. Sagus Cliffs crowds are notoriously bloodthirsty, and the execution officials are not known for their sense of humor. You might regret it later, and you'd be alone when you did. And thoughts. Too many unknowns in a scheme like that. Not enough escape routes. Let's see, do I want to help him or not? He definitely seems a bit underhanded. You know what? No guts, no glory. I'll help him. Excellent. You'll need a proper story and a badge of office. Fortunately, I have the first, and you can buy the second from Sengolin, the clothing merchant in Government Square. He folds his arms. Once you have a badge of office, you will tell the council clerk that you're from the Judicial Oversight Committee, looking into corruption in the commutation of capital sentences. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is already going sideways. The stay you're asking for is that of a notorious gangster named Cole Cardin, who was mysteriously set a few years ago. You get Cole's stay of execution. I'll make a copy of Chris's name on it, and you can give it to the overseer who will free him. You see? He rubs his hands together. Now, if you let me join you, I'd be happy to show you around the city and help you with all this, and whatever else you have going on. What do you say? Thanks, I could use the help. It'll be my pleasure, but let's hurry. There's not a moment to lose. Riss hasn't much time. Let's see, is this... Okay, it's still... Hello.
I'm ready.
You inch closer to the lattice of energy that holds the creature. As you lean in, the ugly glaive with a sledgehammer slung over his shoulder shouts at you. Oi! No gawking for free! Pay El Ginto or get gone! He glowers at you, hand reaching for the haft of his hammer until you step away from the cage. Oop. Join. I zoomed in a little more than I wanted to. Levy. Changing God cultist. Look, it's one of the Death Cheater's vessels. Ah, can it be? What fortune, what joy. Kemsine will want to see you, vessel, and Mimion too. Let's see. Well, that's rather interesting looking. Let's get better. Arms merchant, execution grounds. Levy. Let's look at this. Sengolin. The one I want. Seer, arms merchant. I'm not sure I really want to interact with something called the genocide. Doesn't sound good. Small valorous phrases are etched into the lower portions of these statues, decorations of love, defamatory attacks, and announcements of localized existence, whispering in stone from across the centuries.
Yes, now.
Let's see, where does... I know I need to talk to the cultists down the square, but like he said, with risk, time is of the essence. Okay. Load it up.
My friend, Orthfong at the Order of Truth, was looking into something for me. I'd like to stop by there. Problem is, most of the priests and I don't get along too well. They might not want to talk to me.
Why won't they talk to you? Like I said, we don't get along. Probably because I called them out on their timidity and their bowing and scraping to the slave families. But hells, maybe they've forgotten. Scan thoughts. Frauds. All of them. They care more about advancement than actually helping anyone. Alright, I'll ask them. Thanks. Let's see. Petitioners. Ah, Sengolan, that's who I want. A tall, thin, exquisitely dressed older man stands in the shade of an exquisitely crafted stall. The cut, color, and quality of his clothes are a symphony of harmonious coordination, while the expression of benevolent condescension, I almost say condensation, he gives you would be more at home on the face of a king. Good afternoon, he says, bowing slightly. I am Sengolan, and this is my store, Sengolan's Fittings. Welcome. How may I be of service? What do you sell here? I sell the finest city wear for discerning men and women, as well as quality armor for those traveling to less civilized locales. He clears his throat and directs your attention to a well-dressed mannequin wearing a badge of the city official. Also, it is our honor to have been chosen to provide the city of Sagus Cliffs the official badges worn by all properly credentialed city employees. You may trust in their trust in us. Can I buy an official city badge? City badges are not for sale to anyone. They're given to duly elected or appointed public servants of Sagus Cliffs. And it is illegal for me to give them to anyone who does not work for the city. I would be breaking the law. He considers. Of course, most public servants do offer me some remuneration for the materials, but no, I wouldn't take the risk, nor betray my trust. Scan thoughts. Too risky. About 80 shins worth of risk, I'd wager. But you won't be Tyber. But you won't be breaking the law. My friend here is just made Undersecretary of Overseer Yin. The messenger should be coming shortly with the letter of commission. But you know how Yin is. Always a bit sloppy with his paperwork. Deception. That's alright, Tyber. He'll hear soon enough. Sengolan. Yin's delay won't be a problem, will it? Let's see. Who's got... Well, he's got a better chance right out the gate. I'll boost it to 90. Of course not, madam. I know too well the slowness of city bureaucracy. I'll wrap up a badge for you right now. He smiles.
Remember that.
Let's see. Badge of office. Is that all for you today? Can I interest you in our fine collection of armor, perhaps? I'd like to see what you have to sell. Let's look at what Sangolin has. How many shins have I got? Okay, this is all just sellable. 56, is that right? Let's see. Usable by the Last Castoff. Double check this. 1, 2, 2, 1. Let's remind my speed, my 15 necessary attacks. That's not good for me. Way more necessary attacks. But I don't have enough for the micro mesh. Grounding cloak. Ooh, I couldn't afford that anyway. Shield offhand. That one's probably the better one for me, but I can't afford it. It's 3 points of might. Suppose I could sell one of the Fleetfoot Mosses. Could buy the micro mesh. I think that's it. Whether that was a good idea, I don't know. The Mind Forge. As much as I kind of like the Mind Forge plating, the negative against my spell work would not be the best. So, we'll go with the micro mesh. Okay. Give me 1 second. I need to check on something while I'm thinking about it. Alright, everything seems okay. I'm gonna save. In case things have gone, I've done something really bad. Let's see, acquire an old stave execution. Now I have the badge, I can try to obtain the council clerk in Government Square. That's an interesting thing. This fountain is constructed from a material that seems halfway between wood and stone. It doesn't contain water, as might be expected. Instead, it's filled with swarming tiny fish-like creatures that leap and cavort in a wriggling mass, chattering to each other in what sounds like 1,000 different tongues. Let's see. Listen to what the creatures are saying. You fold your arms, listening intently to the fish jabber at each other. It sounds like a cloud of nonsense syllables matched into baby speak. Try and catch one of them. Oh boy. You or your companion now have an edge in one of your stat pools, granting you a discount on using points from the stat pool. Each level of edge grants 1 free level of effort, boosting your minimum chance of success. Using the ability, edge reduces the activation cost first, and any leftover points are used for effort. So it's like, yeah, you can see I've already gone up a level, but man. Well, let's try it. It was a success. You definitely snatch a single fish from the glistening, tumbling flood. The bubbling mass of remaining creatures squawk together in nonsensical outrage. Let's take a look. Caught this creature from the fountain of sorts in Government Square. Small fish-like and constantly squirming. Oh, it's worth 114. Never requires food or other nourishment, and it gibbers constantly in indecipherable language. Let's examine the woodstone fountain. Fountain now that you're looking at it is unfathomably old. Coppery tongue-like decorations curl up and over the rim of the structure, as if lapping at the endless stream of creatures within. Gotta leave the... Let's see. Where is the one I need? Nano... Levy... Oh, the council clerk. That's who I want. Behind a lectern, a four-eyed, hairless mutant processes paper with balletic grace. He's endlessly snapping at the elegant fingers of his left hand, and each time the air twists and shimmers, either disgorging a document to be processed or accepting one that he's completed with his ink-stained right hand. Each of his eyes regards a distinct object. Portals that are opening, preambles and recitals that must be reviewed, his own addenda that must be flawless. One eye twitches in your direction. Exaggerated scorn twists his mouth. And though his eyes remain fixed on your face, he gives no verbal acknowledgement. The closest he comes is a faint sigh. Last, after shunting a half-dozen more documents in some distant cubby, he condescends to speak to you. You must wait, of course, until council matters conclude. His quarter gaze leaves you. His face returns to the former equanimity, and he continues his work, which shows no evidence of slacking, let alone concluding. I assure you that my matters are important enough to be worth a moment of your time. Hold on, let me cancel this out. Farewell, and make sure that I don't need to... Clerk gives no acknowledgement to say it's heard and merely continues with his work. Whoops, I need this. Okay. Can't do anything on that one. Let's see. He already starts off better. The clerk conveys his personal regard for the importance of your matters with a long, loud sigh. But he focuses one of his eyes on you and replies, very well, let's weigh the worth of your needs, shall we? What is it you need? I'd like to talk about paperwork. Faint sigh that only acknowledgement is the only acknowledgement you receive. Okay. I'm a special liaison from the Judicial Oversight Committee, and I need to inspect a stay of execution issued for Cole Carden. There are concerns of corruption. Let's see. Well, he starts off better than I do. We need that, so I'll use some of his pool. The clerk hesitates for a moment and shrugs. It happens that the letter was consigned to destruction by year's end. Anyway, given the confirmation of Carden's demise. With a snap of his fingers, a letter appears, and he looks over it. Yes, here we are. Quite the criminal he was, and no slouch in treason, but whom I question the clemency of our peerless council. He hands it to you with a slight sniff. Let me check it for errors. Tyber snaps it with an angry look at the clerk. Of course, I shouldn't have to, but we wouldn't be here today if a mistake hadn't been made by someone in a position of authority. Why are you provoking him? Provoking, mutters Tyber cheerfully. No, just buying us some privacy in a crowded square. People like him never watch while the others check their work. You glance over, sure enough, an angry flush colors the clerk's cheeks, and his eyes are resolutely set on the papers before him. You delightful maniac. Tyber chuckles low in his chest. I think we're going to get along well, you and I. You feel him writing something on the document, presumably Riss's name, before slipping it into your pouch and giving you a polite little cough to catch the clerk's attention. Everything appears to be in order, he says, mouth set in a stern line. I meant no offense, of course.
I'll remember that.
The clerk turns a single angry eye Tyber's way. Of course, I understand, he says, his voice shaking. The eye moves to you. Do you have other matters to discuss? I'm quite busy today. Say farewell. Clerk gives no acknowledgement that he heard and merely continues with his work. Alright, so we got the forged letter.
Let's go.
So back down to the execution field. For those of you who weren't here last time when I talked about it, the guys behind the Journey Quest web series are doing a Kickstarter right now to help raise money to get seasons 4 and 5 written, which will be the end of the series. And amusingly enough, the way they're doing it is a classic pinup calendar. Difference being that it's a pinup calendar of the orcs from the series. The orcs and one gargoyle. Now, things have taken a slightly bad turn in that one of the orcs has unfortunately not going to be able to make it to the photo shoot due to, things that are outside of his control. But for the most part, everybody's generally agreed that we should keep it going. It's, because the calendar is nice and all this stuff, and we definitely want it. But everybody is here for mainly to get the series going along. I'll try and remember to put it in the YouTube description, and it's there on the that's weird. I'm broadcasting, but suddenly it switched over to me hosting again. The hell. But anyway, there was a link in the chat for the Kickstarter. I definitely recommend checking it out. And of course, I definitely recommend checking out Journey Quest in general. The first 2 seasons are available on YouTube. I don't know about season 3. I don't know why I haven't seen it. But first, let's go save once more. And I need to kill that. But let's talk to Yin and get him off the hook. This man has a full pardon. Release him immediately.
I'll remember that.
He scowls at you. You were here before and you didn't have that badge. Do you city or not? Deception. I was undercover before, testing you. You did very well, but now I want this man released. Immediately. AD has a good % chance of success, so it's nice to see. He gives you a skeptical glance. Then he looks over at the state of execution, paying attention to the signature. Finally, he shrugs. Fine, one moment. He turns and calls to the levy. Unmake the death of the condemned and set him free. He is pardoned. He turns back to you and bows. There you are, ma'am. All taken care of. Oh, wait. He reaches into his robes and pulls out a smallish bundle. And here is his personal effects, which we were going to give to the poor. It's a leather jerkin. Well, it's not as good as the one I had. Rapier.
I'll remember that.
I got some experience, which is nice. Tyber's opinion of you has improved. Riss. As the levies march off and the crowd disperses, Riss steadies himself, not quite recovered from his ordeal. Finally, he raises his head and focuses on you. If you're the one who got me out of that nightmare, thank you. But where's that? His eyes settle on Tyber. There you are, you slippery bastard. Now where's the money? If I went through that hell for nothing, I'll... Scan thoughts. The bastard left me out to dry, I know it. He chokes with emotion. A whole day, Tyber. I spilled my guts up there for a whole day. He steps back, spreading his hands. Yes, about the money. You see, Riss, I was hoping to get a reward for turning in the fellow who sold us that brandy without telling us about its secrets, but... But? Riss snarls. There's always a but when it comes to money, isn't there? I should have known. You only said you'd pay me so I wouldn't squeal on you, and you only saved my skin to save your own. He his fists together. Am I going to have to fight through your friend to get to you, or are you going to step out from behind her and take it like a man? Calm down, both of you. Riss, tell it from the beginning. Riss spits, then wipes his lips. There isn't much to tell. Captain Silvertongue here talked me into a dirty job, then disappeared like an abacus, and left me holding the bag while it all went sour. Indigo Tide raised a moderate amount. Blue Tide raised a tiny amount. Sorry. Oh, Riss, says Tyber. Can you blame me for running when I had a chance? You have done the same. And besides, if I hadn't, we would have both been sentenced to die, and no one would free either of us. Scan thoughts. Lucky that. If my tattooed friend hadn't come along, we'd both be executed in any case. Speaking of which, I'm playing this on the Xbox One. Of course, it's available on Xbox One, PS4, PC. Right now, as part of the Shoptober sale on the Xbox store, they have this for, I think it's $12.50. So if you haven't played it and it looks interesting to you, I highly recommend picking it up. He stabs a finger in Tyber's face. You only wanted to free me because you knew you'd be next on the block once the Devourer ate me. What was the job? Tyber said we were transporting booze to Mara Jolius, but he didn't tell me that he'd hidden state secrets in one of the bottles using some liquid Numenera tricks, which turned a slap on the wrist crime into a damned death sentence. Death sentence? Tyber says with an uneasy grin. You're alive, aren't you? Scan thoughts. I'd have told him eventually. Ignorance was supposed to keep him safe. Glares at Tyber from under lowered brows. That may be, but you certainly seem to know where the levies were going to come calling. He looks at you. The council somehow got wind of the deal and came after us. Funny how I was the only one home when they knocked on the door. I'm with Riss on this, Tyber. You should make amends to him. He's the one who suffered over here. That's right, Riss snarls. You can start by giving me my share of the spoils. Indigo Tide raises a small amount. Gold Tide raises a tiny amount. Riss, you don't know what you're talking about. I never got paid, I promise you. This isn't over, you self-serving bastard. Riss jabs a finger in Tyber's face. Hide behind your friend if you like, but she won't keep you safe forever. You're dead, Tyber. Do you hear me? Dead. Sounds like he deserves it, too. Okay. Save over that. Well, that was an interesting little encounter. Now let's go talk to the cultists. Since they're the primary reason we're here. As you approach the duo, you see that they are arguing heatedly, but quietly. A petite woman turns to you. Her hair is unusual, a light, almost yellow color, and her bright blue eyes dominate her pretty face. Excuse me, milady. My friend and I were having a discussion, and her eyes fall upon your tattoo, and her breath catches audibly in her throat. Scan thoughts. A Castoff, one I've never seen. Her partner is an unnaturally tall man, gaunt and sour-faced. His voice sonorous, with fingers that twitch and weave through strange contortions. Occasional light sparks in the air as he does. He turns to you and opens his mouth to speak, registers your tattoo, and closes it again. His throat bobs for a moment, and he says, "It is an honor." He nods his head to Allegern. He nods his head to the two of them. I brought someone you should meet. He turns to you. These are Casmine and Mimian. They're the leaders of the local branch of your church. Mimian, you have our thanks for the introduction, Allegern. Our deepest thanks. He eyes the Aeon priest for a moment, as if about to say more, but he thinks better of it. Scan thoughts. Interesting. Allegern has really been so helpful to us in the past. He collects himself. If I might impose on your time for a moment, will you tell me about your tattoo? How did you shape it? Do you know why it differs from the others? Scan thoughts. I'm having trouble placing her. Could it be... I need more time to question her. What do you mean, shape it? Don't tattoos stay the same? Not yours, revered one. Her voice... the barest whisper as she curtsies. You are a cast-off of the changing god, light of brilliance. His touch on your head. The tattoo marks you as his child. She gazes at you enrapt. You are not alone. Other cast-offs live, and we treasure each of you. You are welcome here, revered one. We stand ready to serve as we can. Have you any questions for us? Do you know anything about a device called a resonance chamber? Rumor and conjecture, nothing more. Idle speculation from those who wish to pretend to knowledge of your sire's motivations, passed along as fact. He leans out to touch you. Have you seen it? Do you know where it is? What it does? I need to know who can repair it. So you've seen it. You have touched it. She catches herself. She seems almost overwhelmed. Your tattoo, like all the others, but this one is different. He looks sharply at you, all distraction gone. I do not recognize you, he says. You do not match any descriptions we have recorded. She snaps her fingers as if finally figuring out a mystery. Wait, let me remember your face. She studies you carefully. Oh my. You're new. Are you changing God? Can it be? She reaches out to touch your sleeves and pulls her hand back quickly. I think in this case we're going to play to the deception and we're going to tell her that I am the changing God. Aladrin, a misfortune follows in his wake, as surely as the river finds the sea. His mouth is twisted into something that looks as if it's trying to be a smile. Silvertide raised a small amount. Mimian's deep-set eyes pierce Aladrin as he snaps. Would you have us profane everything you hold dear? Shall I defecate on your pain you carry, Aladrin? I know you, and I can speak words that will harm you, but out of respect, not necessarily for you, but for civility and reason, I do not. Accord us the same courtesy. He looks as if he's swallowing gravel, but he manages to force out the words, My apologies, Mimian. He gives a short, curt nod, and he studies you carefully. Tell me, truly, please, are you the changing god himself? He catches himself and says, herself, incarnate before us? Scan thoughts. So many have tried to deceive us. They don't understand how much we know about them. I am. Aladrin's mouth turns up in a hard, triumphant smile before he regains control of his face. He says nothing. I just got an achievement for convincing the cult that I am the changing god, which is awesome. Silvertide raises a moderate amount. You're not a cast-off, not one of his children, she breathes. I knew it. Her hungry eyes are adoring. She hardly seems to blink. Cass, I would welcome the opportunity to question our inspiration directly, but kindly remember that we have been deceived before. He turns to address you. If you truly are he, perhaps you can settle this question for us. He gestures toward the clock behind him. Dark figures circumambulate these clock faces. I theorize that your creation of the time shields that protected the city established a connection with your future selves. Or perhaps your wisdom brought them here. Whatever the truth, we believe those figures may be cast-offs, or ghosts of cast-offs perhaps. The living shells of the bodies you have worn previously. His fingers shrug eloquently for him. But the clock is unmoored in time, you see. We do not have a knowledge sufficient to investigate. But you might. You created the clock. If you are who you claim, you should be able to align it with the present time and uncover who these figures are. I will. We've tried ourselves, and I have appealed to the order of truth. I have spoken with eminent seekers of knowledge. We have sent for wisdom from as far as the steadfast. A great achievement, you must agree. None have given us an answer. Perhaps Dismay dances across his fingers. Perhaps memories of your creation will come to you. His hungry-eyed companion steps in. Perhaps you can find an answer where others have failed. She turns away. You will have our boundless gratitude, revered one. You had questions about the resonance chamber, you said. We can help you. But first you must investigate the clock and the figures inside it, or else, she trails off, or else we must turn from your word. Best of luck, revered one. We await your insight.
Yes.
Let's take a look. This complex machine towers over you. Its purpose is unclear, but the three circular faces set into the ground remind you of clocks. Something is wrong with the machine, however. It's partially transparent, shimmering in the air when you look directly at it. The clock faces seem to show several different times at once. Humanoid silhouettes ripple beneath the central clock face. One places his hand against the faces as though it were a glass wall. They seem to be watching you. Examine the machine. The towering mechanism wavers in the air, similar to Calistege. It appears to be in several states at once, though all of the machine states are in the exact same location. You can't touch it either. Your hand passes right through the structure. As you pull your hand away, a memory strikes you as powerfully as if someone took a club to your chest. You are working at the clock. It's no longer transparent, but perfectly solid. There's a noise behind you, so they've come, the three traitors. They think to surprise you, but through the powers of the clock you have foreseen this moment. There's the faintest sound of metal sliding against leather. You slap a hand on the central clock face, activating the clock's arcane powers. You're not sure what it will do to them, but it's better than what they'll do to you. There's a flash. Arcs of energy stretch out from the clock, over your shoulders to your would-be attackers. You don't see what happens to them, but they quickly disappear along with their screams. As the last shreds of memory fade, a swirl of energy passes through your body. Cold barbs prick every muscle. Suddenly, tidal forces arc from the clock to the three ancient devices in the cultist encampment. The clock recognized something inside you, or maybe vice versa. Either way, you have inadvertently activated the nearby devices. Why do I have a bad feeling about this?
Ready.
Let's interact with it again. You know what? I'm not going to step at the figures. I'm going to talk with them. She whispers. Oh, okay. Well,
On it.
I guess we're going to have to. Let's reach for the silhouetted figures. Your hand passes straight through the clock face, the figures, and the entire structure, as if the entire machine wasn't even there. Let's take a look at what I activated then.
I'm going.
As you approach this device, Circus Minor changes around you. People are dressed differently and speak differently. Whole new structures appear, including an enormous building rising from the edge of the square. You look down at the device. A series of images flit across its surface. They don't appear related to the changes around you. You see faces of other people and places, all of them familiar. Look more closely at the changes around you. Circus Minor looks almost completely different. All the people are dressed strangely, and though they speak the truth, they use many terms and phrases that you don't understand. The square has changed as well. All the tents are gone. The buildings are more colorful and less weathered. One building in particular rises from the edge of the square. A tower of purple rock some 50 stories high. A mural is painted on the side, though you can't see the details from here. Let's examine the images on the surface of the device. As soon as you focus on them, you feel a warmth on your head where your tattoo is. The images respond to your thoughts, slowing and changing at your whim. Something about your body that allows you to do this, which perhaps means that only you can see the images. You immediately recognize the pictures as a piece of memory, specifically the 3 memories you saw back in the fathoms of your mind. Look at the memory in the underwater city. The memory is recent, Two men, both with tattoos like your own, are in an underwater city searching for something. The denizens of the city chase for them, their quarry, chase them from their quarry, and ultimately surround and capture them. As you review the memory, you get strange feelings in your mind that you can only describe as a query. The device wants something from you. Suddenly you remember. The memories in the device are possibilities, but you can lock one of the memories here, so it's the only one that displays. You don't remember what purpose that served, though. Let's see. Look at the memory in the Lush Valley. Somehow you know that is a memory from long ago. Long time ago. Centuries ago, probably. A man and a woman, both with tattoos like your own, are surveying a lush, secluded valley for some purpose you cannot recall. Look at the memory of the city under siege. Somehow you know this memory is ancient. It might have occurred 1,000 years ago. A man and a young girl race through the streets of Sagus Cliffs. All around them, the city is attacked by terrible people. The Tabot, you recall. The man takes them to the ancient machine somewhere in the city, and he and the girl disappear. Let's leave this device alone for a second. I have a feeling I need to put the memories in order, but the question is...
Fine.
Which order? A strange feeling comes over you as you approach this device, as if someone were sneaking up on you in the corner of your eye. When you look, there's no one there. Feels like something is different, though, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Okay, that's the same thing we've had. Let's look at the other...
All right.
As you approach this device, Circus Minor is thrown in chaos. Buildings are on fire, people are screaming. Okay, this is what I thought it was. Running for their lives while armored soldiers hunt them. None of them seem paying attention to you, though. It's some kind of vision, not reality. So we need to lock the ancient memory of the besieged city in this device. The images of a man and girl are the only ones that play across the surface of the device. They run past the enemy soldiers and disappear at the machines in an endless loop.
Let's go.
Let's see. Let's lock the Lush Valley in this one. Whoops, I need to go around this way.
Go.
And this one... Wait a minute. I think this is the Lush Valley. As you lock the third image, the air around the device trembles. The other devices in the square begin to glow, as though they're about to do something. Just as suddenly, the glow in all three devices fades. The image you had locked onto the device flickers, and the three memories flit across its surface once more. The device seems to have reset itself. I think this is the old memory. The middle is the underwater city. Okay. Let's try this.
On it.
Oh, wait a minute. And we'll go back to... And Centuries old... Nope! God damn it! Alright. I fucked that up. Ancient memory. Clicked on the wrong one.
Let's go.
See if I can avoid fucking this up again. Underwater city here.
Yes, now.
Let's see. soon as you lock this third image, a final surge of energy arcs through the air from the device to the clock itself. The clock shines for a moment, then becomes solid, fixed into a single state. At the same time, the device in front of you goes dark. The images disappear, as does the strange view of the city's past. Kept clicking on the wrong damn thing.
Making a note.
Well,
I'm ready.
let's take a look at it now that its machine is solid now. Each of the 3 clock faces shows a single time, though none of them point to any time measurement that you understand. You lean closer to the central clock face. 3 shadowy figures still lurk within. The feature's almost discernible now. Suddenly, the figures surge out of the clock towards you. Intense pressure strikes your head like a steel spike. Then everything goes black. Ruh-roh. Did I die? That would be rough. Well, it's certainly what it looks like. Oh. 3 figures. Well, let's talk. The 3 figures before you are disoriented. They don't even seem to notice you at all at first. All 3 of them have a tattoo like yours. Castoffs. What befell us? The woman is dressed in powerful-looking armor. Her face bears several scars, yet her eyes have an innocence of a child. Did he do something? Are we still in the clock? Scan thoughts. What new torture does the changing god have for us? Divyataku. I don't believe so. The second figure is tall, dressed in all black. Its height is exaggerated further by a violet, fish-like crest on the top of its head. Its large yellow eyes are squinted, scanning around. There was a woman outside the clock, but it wasn't... Villain. It was her. The third figure points at you. He is small, wiry, and tense as though he expects danger. He carries a shield on his back. She's a Castoff, he says, looking at your tattoo. Can't say I recognize her, though. Who are you? The woman steps forward. We beg your forgiveness, friend, sister. We have been through quite the trial. I am Kamos. These are my friends Divyataku and Villon. We are Castoffs like you. She looks at you up and down, her brow slightly furrowed despite her kind demeanor. We were ingested into your head. I saw it. How is that possible? He eyes you suspiciously. Who are you? I'm a Castoff, like you. I'm the latest one. The latest? She raises one eyebrow significantly higher than the other. It's not possible. We faced the changing god mere days ago. You were not the body he wore. Silver and gold tide raised a tiny amount. I think we might have been trapped in that clock for centuries, Kamos. Something about it messed with our perception. Vargelin looks up at the ceiling, or where the ceiling would be if there were one. Time is an illusion. How long is the wrong question. It turns its enormous bulbous eyes to you. What is this place? Where are we? Scan thoughts. Outside time we were, perhaps, still are. Somewhere in my mind, I think. The Vargelin shuts its eyes. 6 nostrils open wide as he inhales deeply. Yes, perhaps you are right. Our consciousnesses were ripped from our bodies when the changing god activated the clock. Then when you appeared, it happened again. Our minds ripped from their chronal prison. It looks to its friends. I cannot be certain, but I believe this is part of some vast mental construct. He turns to you. Your mental construct. Villon. His eyes become nearly as large as the Vargelin's. What? I mean, we just went from one prison to another? He grips you by the shoulders. You did this. If this is your mind, then let us out. I don't know how you got out of here. Relax, friend, sister. Whether for days or centuries, we survived that clock. We'll survive this. If time is an illusion, then it is not our enemy. We will find a way. Why can't you get us out of here? Weren't you listening? We were trapped in the clock for centuries. I'm looking for a way out, believe me. But if Divyadaku says it's your mind, then it's your show. So long as we live, there is hope. One of us will find a way. Why did the changing god trap you in the clock? Ah, yes. She looks down, embarrassed. The three of us once worked alongside our sire, helping him in his research after he'd brought the Order of Truth to Sagus Cliffs. We saw him for what he was. Selfish, arrogant. Scant thoughts. Marilel helped us to see. I wonder what has become of her since we were imprisoned. He doesn't care about us, not a single one of his children. He crosses his arms and looks away bitterly. All of his projects were always about him. He didn't care if anyone got hurt in the process. We betrayed him. Unlike the others, the Vargellan looks at you directly in the eye. We meant to stun him, to capture him before he could escape to another body, but he was too quick for us. He activated the clock, tearing our minds from our bodies and trapping us eternally. I don't see a way out. Vargellan stretches its neck, putting its face on a handspan of yours. It seems to be examining you. Then it says, "Your mind. Only you have the power to change." What he's trying to say is that this place was created for your body, or perhaps by your body. Our sire placed within each of us unique gifts and abilities. For example, I have never heard tell of another Castoff who could trap consciousnesses the way you have. She gives you a warm smile. He would not have created this space for you without also giving you the means by which to move through it. Think, what other gifts did our Creator bestow upon you? I built a path out of a deep fathom in my mind by recovering memories I had lost. Perhaps, if there were any memories here to recover... He curls his lips... Valan. He curls his lips looking around. Maybe I just don't know what memories look like, but I don't see anything. It seemed like we're in agreement, Valan. And what they call a nano. Valan. He laughs. So's the Vargellan, but you don't see him barking about it. You see, that's just the type of thing you do. It was a path you chose, not something our sire gave you, nor a means to freedom. I chose an aspect of myself when I was born, deep in the heart of this labyrinth. Is that it? Vyaktu shakes his head. I can see what you speak of, it says, and you get a momentary impression that its eyes can see through you. This aspect describes you. Just as I am Vargellan, Valan is observant, Kamos is foolish. I object to that characterization. Valan, he gives a kind chuckle. He's not wrong, and you know it. At her wounded look, he raises his hand placatingly. It's the truth. Anyway, you've got us out twice as much trouble as you get us into. So Vargellan speaks to you. These aspects are descriptors of who we are, but they are not us. You chose your aspect says quite a lot, but I do not believe that it is enough to set us free. I don't think I have the ability you're talking about. You must. She looks at her compatriots and back to you. We each have our gifts, given to us by our sire for a specific purpose. His purpose, of course, but a purpose nonetheless. She presses a hand to her chest. They say, for example, that, foolish though I may be, I have 9 magical gifts of speech. That is not something I chose nor learned, but it is who he made me to be. Valan. He rubs his hands along the edge of his shield. I am a master of defensive arts. Our sire learned them when he was in my body. Probably built my body to excel at it. I would call it a gift, but it's me. Yeah. I am one of the shadows. I live in them. I breathe them. This is not some esotery I discovered, but a unique ability our sire chose for me when he was in my body. She gives you a kind smile. The gift is in you. Perhaps you've just forgotten. Our sire would not have made this place for you without granting you the power to get out. Focus. Find the answer inside yourself. Shut your eyes. Search for the memories of this ability they speak of. You rifle through your memories, past everything you actually remember to those memories you didn't create yourself. There must be a key or a door. anything that would help you escape this fathom of your mind. Just as you're about to give up, you find something. A cluster of sparks, nascent abilities deep within the core of your being. You sense the ability to speak eloquently, to use a shield to master skills, to lurk among the shadows as though they were
I'm ready
home.
to learn something new.
Your travels have left you more experienced, allowing you to advance. This will grant you the choice of improving your statistics, skills, or abilities. To do this, open your character sheet. None of these seem particularly suited to creating a path out of this place, but as you sift through them, you know that you are trapped here, not because it is some puzzle that your sire left for you to solve, but because you are not yet whole. This is another part, the last part of deciding who you are. In completing yourself, you'll be able to open a path back to the calm of your mind. Focus. Let's see. There's 3 foci. In this case, brandishes a silver ton. Thank God that went away. I hate that. You know, the right thing to say and everything. Max effort +1 on persuasion, deception, intimidation tasks. Let's see, breathe shadow. You're out in the folds between dimensions, evading even the most watchful eye. Emerging, you end reality and your enemies along with it. Let's see, nocturnal, quick fingers, deception tasks, perception tasks. The character is hidden or targeting an enemy that is blinded. Gain, let's see, master defenses, shield master, counterattack. I think I'm gonna go with brandishes a silver tongue. That's kind of how I've been playing things so far. And there's our way out. That's it. You did it. Does this mean we can go back to the real world? I don't think so, Valon. I do, but it does mean that we are free. Finally. Turns to you. Thank you, friend. Go. We will follow. Scan thoughts. Something's not right. Shadows. Angles. It's safer for her to go first. Let's pull up my character. Advancement. Spend your experience points by pressing Y. You can choose between 4 advancement steps. When you gain all 4 steps, you will increase your tier, unlocking a new selection of abilities and other bonuses. So let's see. Increase edge, extra effort, ability or skill. Let's increase stat pools. Get 2 points. So put 1 in intellect and we'll do speed. Okay. Let's go through this portal. Uh-oh. That wasn't nice. Interesting. So now we've basically fully created the character. Oh. So I guess a second, I've got to pause this again. We went through. Alright, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Had to take care of one of the dogs. I saw what happened. Are you alright? That thing almost killed you. What did happen? It blasted you out of that part of your mind. His voice is somber. The sorrow must be gathering its strength, taking spaces in your mind to keep you from reaching your full potential. I don't know why it doesn't just destroy you. Maybe the fragment's not strong enough yet. It's alright, though. We have more important things to do, right? Like get that chamber fixed. Something feels odd about this man, but it takes a while to put your finger on it. It's his thoughts. They aren't there. Or rather, they're there, but they're indistinct. Kind of white noise that blends in too well with the background hush of this place. I found the resonance chamber, but it's broken. Yeah, I saw that. I don't see everything you do out there in the world, but I definitely saw that. You have to find a way to fix it. How did activating the clock in the real world open that other fathom? Who knows? It probably triggered something in your mind. Made a bridge you didn't have before. Maybe you did have that bridge once, but you lost it. Are you always here? He shrugs. Where else would I be? Your thoughts are fuzzy. Why can't I read them? His voice is dry, but his smile takes on a sting from his words. Well, his smile takes some of the sting from his words. I imagine it's because we're in a place of pure thought. I'm a construct of pure thought. Our conversation is taking place on the level of thoughts. Most things that here aren't real. It'd be like reading your own mind. How do I get back this time? The portal's still there. I don't see why it wouldn't work twice. Is there anything to do while I'm here? Apart from the cabaret acts, distilleries, and endless adventures just behind the next wrinkle in your mind? He jabs you in the arm with his elbow. If you believe that... Sorry, but it's your mind. There's nothing like that here. I've looked. Still, you've changed things plenty already. I wouldn't be surprised if something showed up here eventually. I think I'm ready to go. Farewell. Okay, that was the portal that I originally came here in.
I'm ready.
This is our way out. So let's see how things changed since I was, for the most part, blasted into my own head. Yeah, things are definitely intriguing in this game. It's those ones I would play for way longer if I could. While I'm here... You fixed the clock. I knew you could do it. I knew it. She shoots a triumphant smile at Mimian. You must tell us what you saw. Who were those figures? Were they cast-offs? What did they say? Were you able to retrieve them? He smiles, though reservation still dances in his eyes. Hush, Cast. Our inspiration had a question for us once the task we set for her was complete. We do have answers for your questions, revered one. That is, as soon as we hear the report of what you have found. Good question. As well as I met Kamos, Diviataku, and Villan. Disappointment creases her face. I knew these names. They're not new to us. They were favored servants of your creator, cast-offs, who served him well. Indeed. Diviatu brought the Order of Truth to Sagus Cliffs, but they betrayed their holy trust and disappeared. Blue Tide raises a small amount. He sighs. Nevertheless, we will honor our arrangement. You sought answers about who might repair the resonance chamber. I wish I could tell you that. I truly do. We know that you built it with the aid of one of your vessels, but we do not know his or her name. Perhaps one of your children might know where to find him or her. I know of only one other Castoff still in the city, the albino assassin Matkina. They call her the White Death. She wore a camouflaging cloak and brought destruction in her wake. Last I saw of her, she was in the Underbelly. He restrains a shudder. Seek her, but be wary. Let's see. Oh, I'm in the... Huh. Can't switch to the... If I'd switch to the right thing... There was something... that, oh, I haven't taken a look at any of this. Light melee weapon, speed 3 damage, 3 physical, plus 3 per effort applied, max plus 9. I get a light weapon bonus. I think we're going to put the rapier as the weapon. Seems like a better choice. Wait a minute. Dude. I had to think about it for a second how I actually talk to them.
You have no idea what it's like traveling with her. Though I suppose you've had a taste even from that short trial.
Well, he scuffs his tone to the ground and looks away. I'm going to say this once. I'm not much of a talker, but you know I have questions about your identity. That you're still willing to bring me on says something about you. What that is, I'm not sure yet. Still, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll help you where I can. Clear? Yes. So that's settled. What do you think about what the Cult of the Changing God told me? Honestly, I thought they'd be more helpful. Said they're just guessing. They don't know more about you than I do. He snorts. You've got my apologies for that, for what it's worth. Hells, they spend all their time thinking about you lot. They should have a better idea than almost anyone. At least they gave us an idea of where to search next. He shrugs. Keep looking. There was someone he wanted us to look in on. But it's not in my quest line, so... First thing, we're going to save. So let's go down to the Underbelly.
I'm ready.
Interesting. So let's see what's down here. See, thugs, I don't think will help me much. Pauper. Factory worker, mutant. Well, start somewhere. Keep your hands clear of the workers, they've got a job to do. Well, that didn't help me much. Kella. Well, you gonna talk or are you just gonna stand there? In a stall filled with all manner of dusty parts, connectors, and strange devices, a woman tinkers with a half-assembled power source, peering at it through spectacles that have several adjustable lenses. Her long white hair is disheveled, and the skin of her thin frame is marked with small scars and burns. She looks up curiously as you approach. Welcome to Makala's Mechanicals. I've got a bunch of broken stuff and a few things that work. You want any of it? Let me know. I have a feeling I'm not going to like the answer to this question. Do you know a woman named Matkina? Pale skin, hard looks. Oh, I know that one. Carked and twitchy. Asked me to ken the workings of some weird old device she had. Obsessed with it. There was a bit of sniff, and she a slave to it. Never seen the like. You'd have killed me when I couldn't make it work for her. She frowns, remembering. I'd have been mad, except I saw how sick she was with it. Shaking, tears, the whole lot. Sent her on her way and wished her luck. She'll need it, poor thing. Say farewell for the moment. Hopper. Hundreds of leathery wings flutter against each other as they're trying to escape. Grow haphazardly, one sprouting from the next. Let's look at the map. Ladder to Government Squared, Circus Minor. Halogern's Lab. Ooh. A levy. Let's talk to Pelii. Violet-skinned visitant paces back and forth before the cavern's opening. Hello, you. I had a rather large dog decide she wanted to climb over me, which is unusual for her. It wears fine clothes that serve to accentuate the tall, thin crest on its head. A symbol has been painted on the crest, mirroring the insignia marked on its chest. Its clothes are finely tailored and well made. The name of the creature's race crawls into your mind. It's a Vargellan. This one has temporarily chosen to be female. Her bulbous eyes flash quickly around her surroundings before focusing directly on you. Your pardon. Her voice is high and fluting. This place isn't safe. Do you want something of me? Who are you? An agent and negotiator dispatched here by the council. That should be obvious from my clothing and my guards. I mean, we know what council. I was wondering what you're doing here. I'm conducting a diplomatic negotiation on behalf of the city. Unfortunately, I'm not dealing with a reasonable species. Her crest flutters irritably. They've made no progress at all. Days wasted in this miserable tunnel, and I have nothing to show to my superiors. Maybe I can help you negotiate. You carry yourself with poise and confidence. I've learned to be a judge of such things. She puffs up her crest. Perhaps you would be a skilled negotiator, but that isn't what I need. Circumstances call for a new tactic. She nods. If you truly think you can help, let's put you to the test. She waves off the levies who flank her. Her gestures are short and choppy, sharp and irritated. If these damnable Stitcha... I speak to them, she says. I speak to them. I offer, cajole, negotiate, and threaten. And they persist in their digging. And every day another house on the cliffs above slips into the sea. If their digging does not cease, the city itself may crumble. So here's my request. Find a way into their deepest tunnels, remove their precious eggs, and return them to me. These hostages to their future shall ensure the future of the city above. She spreads her hands. I trust your discretion. Between the two of us, she whispers, the amount of energy a single Stitch's egg generates is remarkably high. Profit hides within each. Bring me all their eggs and I'll split the proceeds with you. She pauses. If you can negotiate a lasting settlement that does not require such drastic measures, you may also pursue that method. But I've been trying for days with no success. I won't do that. I don't think I'm going to go with the stealing of the eggs, but I am going to try and help. Good. We need to stop the Stitcher before they bring down the entire substructure of the city. She pauses and lowers her voice. If you manage to infiltrate their lair, be sure to acquire all their eggs. I suspect they will have multiple clusters, and we will need them all if we want to negotiate from a position of strength. She hands you a synth ball with a blinking device inside. Once you're in the lair, activate this. It will show you all the tunnels, the egg clusters, and the Stitcher themselves. Better to know what you face before you charge ahead. Take a look. Clears the fog of war in the current area. Let's Nice. Consumes movement. Say farewell. Well... let's try talking to one with a name. Chakekt. This massive creature looms over you. A scent like lightning, an underground cavern washes over you. And it reminds you of nothing so much as curiosity. It chitters and rumbles, waving its large claws through an expressive dance. Something about the smells, sounds, and gestures seems familiar. A niggling itch in the back of your mind. At least you remember the taxonomy now. This is a Stichus, a huge burrowing insectoid. It exudes a sense of sentience as it watches you. You sense nothing in its mind, as though it were a common animal. It points to itself and says, Chakekt, follows with another stream of high-pitched tones. I've come to ask you to stop digging underneath the city. Chakekt waves his arms around, and the air fills with the scent of a slow-growing fungus. You think it says, why? More incomprehensible chittering follows. Then it speaks slowly and carefully. Not learn us speech. Not work us. No, not now. We dig. You dig under the city, right? Can you take me someplace? Over a scent of warm gravel, the Stichus clicks and whistles. You understand the words yes and shins. What do the Sticha use shins for? Points to the various items on your belt in person. You think it's telling you that the Sticha buy items from humans. Can you take me to the place where your eggs hatch? The scent that wafts from the Stichus is disgusting, like organic matter that's been baked, digested, and defecated a second time. Its hands clench hard and it grates, no. Let me ask you some more questions instead. I didn't figure that would work, but hey, it's worth a shot. Can you tell me about this place? Looks at you intently, and then its spatulate fingers begin a slow and careful dance. The sounds it makes are slow chitters that rise and fall in pitch, accompanied by a smell of ozone. Good rock, full of electricity. What do you think of Pelii? It just seems discombobulated for a moment. Who? Then it thinks a little more. Then it sprays out a blast of pheromones, and you smell the sharp tang of acid and weakened stone. It smells like distrust. You almost have a sense of the language, the structure, the feel, the sound, the scent. The itch in your mind intensifies. You can feel the memory of the Stichus language waiting to reveal itself. Let's try to remember. Well, that's as good as I can get it. Damn. You focus deep within your mind, blocking out external distraction, and will the memories to rise. There must be a reason this tongue sounds familiar to you. There must. Try as you might, you can only conjure the image of a small box flickering impatiently in front of you. No other thoughts attach themselves. At last you relinquish your attempt. It's fruitless. Well, I don't have that skill, so that won't help me. Can you tell me about the Sticha? I'm sure I'm screwing up that name, by the way, before anybody jumps on me on that one. It scrabbles briefly at the wall. A bit of lightning flares about the crown of antennae on its head. Its shoulders shrug and you smell dust. That's all for now. Farewell. Let's see. Let's look at the... Let's go back toward Aladrin's lab. Well, that's not something... That's not a description you read every day. Headless man. Not gonna leave the area just yet. Headless man, meatmonger. A short, solid man stands between a smoking grill, turning pieces of meat with a pair of grimy tongs. Sweat is pouring down his grizzled face, yet he's covered head to toe in grease-spattered clothes. His sleeves are tight at the wrists, and the collar pinches at his neck. Nearby are 3 large vats that are filled with living meat, great amorphous masses of it, with appendages growing from them like the limbs of animals drowning in the meat swamp. The first vat is filled with thick, throbbing muscles, red and raw. The second is a flapping monstrosity of leathery wings, and the third sprouts hundreds of lac tails, all wiggling obscenely. The cook looks up from his work and gives you a sweaty smile. "Hey ho, I'm Mick, the meat monger. What'll you have?" "I'm looking for a jack named Matkina. Pale skin, hard looks, wears a hood." He nods. "Know her well. Buys from me all the time. Haven't seen her in a while, though. You might ask Mapper over there by the shanties. He'll be the one with the maps on his skin. Keeps track of everybody." Well now, at least that gives me something specific. Collapsed tunnel. That definitely ain't gonna be the way to go. Whoops. Got caught. Paranoid man. Child. Paranoid woman. Mapper. Let's first look at the paranoid couple. I say things, you know. I have special eyes. You know too, don't you? You smell the corruption. Yes, the jagged dream is down here too. Okay, well that doesn't tell me much. So let's talk to Mapper. From a distance, it looks as if this mutant is wearing a form-fitting suit of finely patterned lines in white, yellow, and pale blue. On closer examination, it becomes apparent that these are tattoos. They cover nearly the entirety of his body, even his shaved head. His actual clothes are simple and worn. His boots look as though they've seen hard use. He's studying the meaningless swirls and whirls on his arm, and mouthing names that mean nothing to you. Salvi, Ballant, Urgau, Tentries. When he looks up at you, he sees that strange device covers one of his eyes. A deep blue light shines in its center, and it seems to measure and evaluate you as he focuses on you. He smiles as you approach, a broad, beaming grin that says he considers you a friend already. "I'm Mapper," he says, extending his hand. Scan thoughts. A new face. New faces mean new places. "I've been everywhere around here. I found my way into places long sealed and best forgotten. Met all sorts of people." He frowns. "Can't say I cared much for some of them, it's true." His voice is fast, insistent, and incisive. "Still, I try. The communities of our world are islands of light. Sometimes they wink out, and sometimes they flare up. I want to link them together. I want to be a bridge." "I'm looking for a woman named Matkina. Do you know where I can find her?"
Remember that.
"Matkina? The White Death? I've heard of her. I know where she hides, too." He grins wide, exposing a mouthful of extraordinarily white and clean teeth. "I can tell you where she is, but I hate to say it comes with a price. Much as I love to talk about my travels, I need to finish a patch of my Sagus Cliffs maps, and I need bragging rights for the next time I see the navigators." He shrugs. "Also, she might not be happy I've told. But I might be able to help you find it, for a trade, of course." He drops his voice. "Have you heard of the Changing God, savior of Sagus Cliffs in times past and so forth? They say he had a sanctuary under the city, a place he used to retreat to and plan for the future while he thought on his past. You know, making possibility maps. That sanctuary is the one important place I haven't seen in Sagus Cliffs, and I need it to fill my map. As far as I can tell, it's not far past the Stitcher layer. Problem I'm having is I just can't make sense of their language. Maybe you can talk to them." He shrugs disarmingly. "It's a hell of a price, I know, but there it is. You want to find Matkina, you'll find the sanctuary for me." "Is there some other way into the sanctuary beside the Stitcher layer?" He sighs, exasperated. "There must be. Changing God wasn't the kind of person who'd just put one entrance into a place, but I haven't been able to find the back door for the life of me." Why don't you go look for the sanctuary yourself?" "The skiss-sucking Stitcher, that's why. They've got their precious eggs in their lair, and they won't let me in. It's not like I've got any interest in their eggs, but, I've got no patience for dealing with their clicks and rumbles. I just want to know. Got me?" Be back when I find the sanctuary. See if I can't talk to them. Chiquette regards you silently as he begins its pantomime. The scent of tunnel grubs and sharp metal fills the air. Whew. As usual, its chittering makes no sense to you. It manages to choke out a few words of truth. What do you want? Take me someplace under the city? Stygius indicates that it understands you, and it pulls some shins from a hidden crack in its exoskeleton. It points in the shins and points at you. It's very much like that of baked bread emanates from it. You understand that you must pay for the privilege. I've heard the changing god has a sanctuary underneath the city. Can you take me there? The creature listens carefully to you, then slowly rotates its whole body, its hands in front of it. Cat's odor is that of internal organs, slowly liquefied. A bright and pungent odor. No, it croaks. Not humans. Why not? It considers how to word the phrase, and its eyes are lambent green in the dim light of the cave. Trust humans, no. Egg thieves. Make fish head grub go away. Maybe talk. Scent of trapped in stale water reaches your nose. It reminds you of a dangerous situation. See if I can't get rid of her. That seems to be the current problem. How can I reach the Stitcher lair? If I knew I'd go there myself. Stitcher are quick to dispatch intruders, and I doubt they would take humans or Vargellans. Sorry. They're of their own accord. Oh God, I can't read. Perhaps a construct of some sort, or a digging machine. But I know little of fabrication or of manufacturing, so I'll leave it to you to explore. Looking for a woman named Makina. She assesses you carefully for a moment and then nods. You speak of the White Death, do you not? The assassin Makina? I've heard of her. It is whispered among the servants of the slave families that she performs the occasional excision for our employers. I tell you this because you seem a person of note, she adds. I know nothing more, though. My apologies. What can you tell me about the Stitcher? Filthy animals, scuttering insects. Who can say if they're even sentient? First and foremost, they dig. They care nothing for the homes they destabilize or the lives that are lost when our buildings collapse. They do not speak the truth reliably, so we cannot know if they understand that the damage they cause. She frowns. I suspect that they do. Ask me your questions. Perhaps you shall find a way to deal with these monsters. How do you communicate with them? Crest flutters as she hisses in irritation. I have not the faintest idea. I do not even know if they fully understand the truth. Perhaps the one that points at itself and chitters can help. I call it Chiquette. It can mutter a handful of words and perform some sign language. I've tried to negotiate with it, but I've gotten nowhere. Well, I can't seem to get rid of her, at least at the moment. It's not an option to me. Okay, so that doesn't tell me much. Can you tell me more about the Stitcher? It chitters and grumbles, remain incomprehensible to you. It nods its head at you, and when you fail to respond, it trills, talk other question. That's all for now. Let me see. Got some... I can get close to the... a new tier. But... combat skills, exploration skills... Let's take a look at the map real quick. Let's explore around a little bit more. Maybe we can find something else that might help us. Baronoff. This large and heavily muscled woman wears what appears to be rags that should have fallen apart ages ago. She looks so tired that it wouldn't be surprised if she fell asleep on her feet. Yet when she opens her mouth, her voice is energetic, like a little girl who's about to get a present. Hello? Can anyone hear what I'm saying? I can't make this work. Without warning, she slaps herself. I hope no one saw that. Oddly, no thoughts at all come from this woman. At least you think she has none. There's a faint whispering at the edge of your hearing, but you can't make out any words. Who are you? Ah, are you talking to me? Her head swivels awkwardly around, trying to catch a glimpse of you. Oh, you are. My name is Varanoth, champion of the wastes. The woman flinches at the sound of the very different, booming voice that came from her own mouth. That's not my name, you stupid thing. It's Varanoth, champion of the wastes. Damn, I came from a land you've never heard of. Damn it, I guess I'm not allowed to say. So you aren't Varanoth, champion of the wastes. I'm not, but you might as well call me that. Or just Varanoth. One shoulder shrugs and keeps shrugging. I'm not actually here, I'm just talking through her, and trying to move her around. Her shoulder freezes mid-shrug. It keeps yelling over me if I talk about something I'm not supposed to, she says, lowering her voice. But maybe if I speak carefully. Her chin drops to her chest. My family explores the world, using special tools. The body stabs itself with a finger pointedly. They tell me I'm too young to help, so I waited until everyone was sleeping and, you know, the head lolls back on its neck, winking at the roof of the cavern. Are you an explorer too? Yes, just like you. The body gets easier to control after a while. It's such a relief, she says. It looks so simple, but it's really not. What could that construct do? Well, it's really hard to break. My mother, that's who usually controls it, once got stepped on by an adult earthshaker. It just stuck her in the ground like a nail. The woman flexes a massive bicep. Am I flexing? The girl says. I'm trying to flex. Anyway, it's also incredibly strong. Punch holes in mountains strong. The arm flops back to her hip. And it's not really a construct. There's no metal inside. She has blood, bones, perfect human expressions. Not that you can tell that from how I do it, the girl adds sourly. The woman's face grimaces along with her. Why do your people explore? Our impenetrable fortress in a lost valley is falling apart. I think we should just go out into the world for real, but no, my family is afraid. The fingers of the woman's right hand wiggle like they're playing an instrument. Her dead expression doesn't change as the girl's voice rises. I'm not, of course, but they won't even let me use it. This thing. I have to sneak around like a child. Who are you again? Fair enough, champion of the wastes, the older woman bellows. Sorry. I tried to say my real name again. Where'd you get the construct? I was born in a storm on a battlefield at midnight, the woman roars. Huh? The girl says after a respectful silence. She really doesn't want me to tell you what I just tried to tell you. Can't you tell me anything about where you got this construct? Seeds, the girl blurts. Oh, just let me say it, but I probably won't get away with any more. Sorry. Farewell. Well, interesting. Flight of stone steps descends into the water. The cavern beyond us gradually widens and connects to the sea. Interesting. Poppers. Changing God cultist. Crooked Queek. I want to say Queek, but it's probably more like Keek. Small hollow-cheeked mutant sings a soft, wavering tune to herself. Yellow bruises discolor her skin. Wounds formed not from violence, but from malnutrition, and her prominent bones bend and twist at odd angles. Still, she smiles. She smiles at the oily water, devoid of any fish. She smiles as she sees. She smiles as she arranges her empty basket beside her. Man, I don't have any idea why I had such difficulty with that one. And she smiles when she sees you standing over her. Hello, I'm Crooked Keek of the Cold Canyon tribe. I haven't seen you down here before. I hope you're not here to fish. They're nibbling instead of biting today. She coughs into her cupped hands, raw and ragged hacking that bends her double. You take her for a child at first, but after studying her features, it's clear that she's in her late teens. It's only some mutation in her bony stature, born of starvation, that makes her seem childlike. You said you're part of the Cold Canyon tribe. Are they down here too? No, she says lightly. They're all gone. Either dead or gone. Still isn't meeting your eyes. There used to be a lot of us. When we came here when I was a baby, running from, she pauses, thinking, a war. Some sort of war that never ends. My parents thought we would be safe here, but the tribe died off, one by one. She turns away, wiping her eyes. The city is hard on people like us. Do you know where I might find a woman named Matkina? Matkina, she gasps. It's not what people call her. She leans toward you, eyes round as coins. They call her the White Death, she says. She's an assassin. I don't know where she is, and I hope I never do. Say farewell for now. Mutant, it's just... Well, this is the... This would be Allegern's workshop. Can't go inside that building. So I can't learn the language at this point. Montpa. Well, talk. This lissom Jack looks down on his luck, judging from his bare feet and dusty jerkin, but he takes in his surroundings with a hopeful gaze. As you approach, he smiles and throws out his arms in greeting, which reveals all the tools of his trade on his belt. How now, helpmeet? Got any... He stops and stares at Tyber with you, when he sees Tyber with you. Tyber, he bellows. Good to see you. Last I heard, you and Riss were running from the levees. Slipped him again, eh? This is your new crew? Looking for an in-and-out man? I'm free at the moment, and ready and able to do some crimes. Scan thoughts. 2 old friends. They gotta have some work for me. For the briefest of seconds, Tyber looks like he wants to throttle the life out of the young man. Then he laughs. Manth, my boy. Always joking. He puts an arm around the young man's neck and snugs him in. A little too tight. If you're not careful, some law-abiding person is going to think you're serious and call the watch on you. And me. And no, this is not my new crew. This is my friend, who I'm helping find her way around the pitfalls of our great city. Tyber turns to you. Manth is actually the most honest boy in Sagus Cliffs. Aren't you, Manth? He swallows. Why, yes I am. They don't come much honester than Manth Pa. Sorry, I misread the apostrophe there. Apostrophe, the exclamation point. Oy. This is not a good sign. I pretty much just sit around all day, thinking of ways I could be more on it. Scan thoughts. Oh, that tattooed woman isn't the lady I knew. When am I going to learn? Tyber's meaty palm covers Manth's mouth. That's fine, lad, that's fine. He smiles at you. You know, Manth has the most dangerous job in Sagus Cliffs. He's a window washer. Hangs out over the sea faces of those cliff houses and scrubs away without a care. And if that weren't enough, when he's not working, he's down here in the Underbelly, helping people find their way around. Go on, just ask him. He knows everything about the place. That's right, says Manth, as Tyber lifts his hand. Ask me anything. You want to hear about the people who live here? Or maybe about the Stitcher tunnels? Or the Malfactory? Or those crazy Dendra O'Hur bastards? Alright, give me one more second. Sorry for all the little stops I'm having to make. Okay, now we've played musical dogs. Do you know where I can find someone named Matkina? The White Death? He whistles. You ain't crazy, are you? He lifts his hands placatingly. Sorry. None of my business. I couldn't tell you where she is, but you might want to talk to Mapper. He's squatting in one of the shanties down here. If there's any place she can hide, he'd know about it. I already talked to Mapper. He wants me to find a hidden sanctuary of the changing gods first. Is that so? Spot even old Mapper knows nothing about. Who'd have thought? He rubs his chin. What you might want to do then is chum up to that Stitcher over there. I know. Who'd talk to a Stitcher, right? I have a feeling they're smarter than everyone says. What do you know about the Stitcher tunnels? They dug them all over the place around here. You only see the ends of them, since they're filled with loose dirt, and only they can dig through them. Say farewell on that one. Okay, we've gone full circle now. But there might be something up here. More workers. Hello. First glance, this ancient, unmoving construct seems nearly identical to the others in the manufactory. It's only when you move close into the hazy aura of forelight that you see the intricate, no, chaotic, whirls of engravings marking every millimeter of its armored frame. And the worker staying behind it is adding even more. You feel a bubbling sensation in your mind. It must be the construct's surface thoughts. They're too quick and alien for you to make any sense of them. Morning, the construct says. It is morning, isn't it? I never pay attention to the time. There's not much use for it down here. Firelight twinkles off the construct's blank eyes. I'm Artisan. What can I do for you? Why do you have workers decorating your armor? Because I want to be the most beautiful construct in Sagus Cliffs, the construct declares. The worker behind it chuckles. Joking, it says. My eyes, well, not eyes, but you know, they failed a long time ago. But my other senses are good. Very good. So when my workers want to show me a design, they scratch it out on my plate. I feel it and give them feedback. Not that some of them need it. It's a long time to be blind. Why can't anyone repair you? The easiest answer to that question is, we don't have the parts, Artisan says, then lowers its voice. But the truth is that I'm afraid. Nothing is going to make me blinder, but it falls silent. The forge hisses and pops nearby. The first decades in the darkness were the hardest. Then I started to see patterns in them. Simple at first, then with colors, depth, and shade. Grand cylindrical, cyclical designs. Sighs happily. I still see them. I wouldn't trade them for sight. The gold tide rises a tiny amount. To be perfectly honest, these artists don't need me anymore. They've done wondrous work in the city above, but they like asking my opinion. The construct barks a laugh, and I like giving it. Farewell, artisan. Another factory worker, tarnish.
Go.
Set of floating rungs rises from the floor, leading up to more conventional ladders built into the side of the ancient ship. Ladder disappears in darkness above. That's just going to take me back up to Government Square. The elderly man stares vacantly at the distant wall, muttering under his breath. His hands flex on the air, twisting and tweaking as if he's repairing a machine only he can see. He jumps when you draw in a breath to speak. Yes? What? He says. His eyes rove past you. Halt, then return to focus on your face with some effort. Ain't you a quiet one, he says cheerfully. The underforeman makes more noise than you. We should hang chimes from your ears to keep you from surprising people. What do you need? What do you do here? I take care of my master, he says simply. The underforeman. There used to be more of us when he was making things. When he lost interest, the master foreman, he jerks a yellow thumb at the construct at the center of the chamber, hired all of them. Offered him more. Tarnish spits on the ground. Happened a while back, but I don't forget a slight. Scan thoughts. He's a good foreman, maybe even the best. If he didn't have this fool idea in his head. You keep calling your master he. I've worked for him for a long time, because I stopped seeing him as a thing and more like a him. All of us have our little ways, even him. Let's see. Well, factory worker. I think we've cleared the fog all we can. Speaking of, scene transition, sleep location, merchant. Let's go look at the collapsed tunnel. Haven't done that yet. And who knows? Maybe something interesting will come from it. Can only hope, anyway.
Yes, now.
Loot. Oh. It's got some shin.
Yes, now.
Find a jumbled pile of large rocks at the end of a roughly hewn tunnel. The motionless limbs of a Stitchus protrude from the mound. The rents in its carapace painted with dried ichor. Let's move the... Let's see. I have 30. He has 30. Ooh. But he's already got a bonus to it. Ooh. I start off at 30. He can push it higher. He's got the best chance. First rock is the hardest to shift. Once you warm to the task, you're nearly flinging them aside until you fully expose the corpse beneath. Examine the uncovered corpse. Clearly, the creature was digging this tunnel when the roof collapsed and killed it. Its smaller claw is mangled and smashed, but apart from the crushed thorax and a few gashes in its carapace, the body is surprisingly intact. Step away. Let's go talk to our friend again. Wait a minute. Is there... Okay, that's a transition to Cliff's Edge. Okay. Let's see. What do you want? Requires trained at title affinity skill. Those will help me. Try to see if we can get... Okay. That won't help. Okay, it gets me nowhere. Let's try talking to Pelii. Let's see if they got any other ideas. Some sort of digging construct, maybe. It's your puzzle, my friend. I am merely your employer. Well, let's take a look at somebody we know who has machines. Real quick. Watch your paw, you. See what you have for sale. Berserker's Yoke, bonded item, artifact. Damage. Nice one, intellect edge. Armor. Spike, Cypher, deals 15 physical damage, confers immobilized. Furtive Adolin. Confers Adolin plus 50% on stealth task, plus 50% on perception. Non-automatically attempts to hide as a free action at the end of each turn. Active 5 rounds. Sting charge. Buzzer. Crossbow. Nothing that really helps me much. Let's try talking some of them. Alright. Didn't have anything that really looked helpful.
Free wrists, lass. Not that the little ingrate appreciated it.
So was it like Riss said? You only freed him so you wouldn't be implicated? I'd be a liar if I said that wasn't part of it, he said, looking at his boots. But I really do care for the boy, and wouldn't wish to him harm for all the world. And I could have run. He chewed his lips. I could have. Scanned thoughts. Probably not far enough, though. Think he'll make good on his threats? Should you be watching our backs? I wouldn't worry about it, he says, chuckling. Riss doesn't have as many friends as he thinks he does. I was practically the only one. Scan thoughts. Unless he makes friends with my enemies. Best not to think about it. It won't happen. Let me ask you something else. Hell, that doesn't really give me much. So without being able to level up, essentially, for lack of a easier phrasing of it, because I can't remember their exact phrasing, I have no way to learn their language, which means I can't slip my way through.
All right.
Ooh. Let's see what loot I find. I'll take all.
Yes.
More loot. Hello. What have we here? Tunnel's blocked by debris, but it's loose enough that burrowing creature could easily push its way through. Yeah. Okay. Same old, same old. So, revealed everything there is here. Kala, the factory. Collapsed tunnel. Take one last look at the collapsed tunnel, make sure I didn't miss something. Whoop, wrong way.
Yes.
Took the corpse again just to be... Okay. Nothing. Find someone skilled in manufacturing who can fabricate one. Find another way to reach it or convince them that I can be trusted. Hey, watch it, you. Ask one more time about... I can't get her to leave. My answer may not be down here then. Oh, what'd you do, dog? With your crazy foot. See if we can't glean some more information. Let's ask her, where do you get your stock? She shrugs. Trade, mostly. Your friend Aladrin there brings me some things now and then. Hello, priest. He nods, curt. Michaela? I get stuff from Little Manth, too. But sometimes his stuff is too hot to touch. Even a few things from the Stitcha, if you can believe it. You trade with the Stitcha? Now and then. They dig up all kinds of things in those tunnels of theirs. Picky about what they trade for, though. Only want things that can hold a lightning charge. Flash packs, generators, that sort of thing. Her brow furrows, which is weird now I think about it, because their eggs hold a charge. Like little batteries they are. I've even converted a few of them to power things. Though don't tell the Stitcha that. Be like using baby for firewood, in their eyes. Okay, nothing's changed there. Okay, nothing new. Let's talk to Manth. Maybe he'll know something. At this point, wouldn't hurt anything. Cheerful young man gives you and Tyber a nod. Hello again, Captain. Still in good company, I see. Anything I can do for you? Not unless my friend has more questions for you, says Tyber. Ask away, says Manth. A friend of Captain Tyber's can ask as many questions as they like. Let's find out about Dendro her. Cannibals? Ha. Sometimes I think they do it just so they can be crazier than anybody else. I know they got some kind of mumbo-jumbo reason for eating dead folks, but I think they just like making people squirm, you know? Damn, doesn't tell me much. Let's see. General asking about the general field of the Underbelly. He shrugs. It's the bottom of the ladder, as they say around here. Ain't no more going down to go. That's a good thing, right? You got nowhere to go but up. Passing thought dims his cheery expression. Unless you drown or get swallowed by the bloom or something. But the manufactory. Hard industry in Sagus Cliffs. People think only the crazy and the crooked live down here in the Underbelly. If you want to see the hardest working people in the city, go look in those furnaces. That's real work, that is. Scant thoughts. Poor saps. What's the point in honest work if you don't get anything? If you don't get out of this hole? Okay, shit. That tells me nothing. Talk to some of the... Oh, the supervisor.
All right.
Master Foreman. Construct looms over you, frozen in mid-step. Its heavy limbs and barreled body have been recently polished by careful hands, but the joints themselves are completely fused. This creature hasn't moved in a long time. It studies you with eyes made of swirling orange fire. As with the other constructs, you can feel the bubbling sensation in your mind. This construct's thoughts are likewise unreadable. Late for your first shift, Synthsmith, it growls. Grab a stationary hammer and damn well get to work. I'm not one of your workers. You're not? Good, because I was gonna have you fired at the end of the day anyway. What do you want? Why are you here? Spit it out. Indigo and Silvertide raised a tiny amount. You can't move, can you? No, and I don't need to, it says, eyes flashing. A passing worker gives you a look for triggering what is apparently a familiar story. Once we foremen were the tools of the cartographers, and their vast web of machine intelligences, submerged in the song of their will. We worked with thoughtless joy. Its voice is soft, tinged with synthetic awe. Then one day the song fell silent, and our bodies froze where they stand, even now. Some of us lost our faith in those first few centuries, it growls. Some of us thought the cartographers were punishing us, or had abandoned us. Only I saw their absence for what it was. His words grew hoarse. It was a gift of free will. We were their tools no longer. We were our own masters, freed from the chains of thoughtless motion, freed to imagine our future. So we did, for millennia. Both the lies you described would have driven me mad. Of course it would, it says calmly. You're human and built to fail. Even the other foremen have fallen to varying degrees beneath their crushing weight of time and absence of our creators. And then we got over it, calls the distant construct. Unlike some, Master Foreman growls under its breath, so to speak. While the others dithered and wailed, I bent my mind to the future, it continues. I analyzed the work we had done for the cartographers. To my shame, I found flaws in the processes. I removed them. Its eyes burned brighter. For the next cluster of centuries, I studied the vast catalog of known knowledge in Numenera in my mind and strung them together, creating new inventions for the day when the cartographers returned and reactivated us. He sighs, but that day never came. But humans eventually did. Yes, and though you are flawed and fragile, you made perfect tools, just as we once had been. Your people found us, and the era of my greatest work began. They asked us to help them raise this city until it cast all others in shadow, to cobble their artifacts and trinkets into grand devices that would power every corner and make them safe from their enemies. I told them, he coughs as holding back tears. I told them I had a plan. You see the fruit of our mighty effort all around you. Hey, Eric. Sorry, I hadn't noticed you there for a second. I'm looking for an albino woman named Matkina. Have you seen her? Yes, the construct says. She wanted us to repair her temporal manipulation device. Planned on fiddling around in her past, no doubt. I don't recommend it, but it's not my business if people want to tangle reality. You suddenly feel dizzy, unaware. The construct carries on. Nothing was wrong with her artifact. Probably meant that there was something wrong with her. But again, that's none of my business. You blink, swaying, and open your eyes on a different time. The Underbelly is not yet what it will become. The three foremen are dim shapes in wavering hemisphere of light. The air is thick with dust. The great engines beyond are cold and silent. True to its nature, the Master Foreman is lecturing you. No, the construct says. What matters is that it can be done. Should doesn't matter. Should is a waste of everyone's time. Gain 2 XP. Are you fainting? The Master Foreman, the present one, says suspiciously. No fainting allowed on the manufacturing floor. We can't have workers tripping over you and toppling into forges. We'll miss deadlines. You open your eyes and the memory collapses. I'm trying to reach the lair of the Stitcha. Can you build me a digging construct? Yes, the Master Foreman declares, glowing eyes scanning the ceiling. Stalkers, bring me the war machine casing from Z-19, the intelligence nexus from B-2, and the scouring claws from my personal collection. Lowers its eyes to you. Now let's talk payment. Make sure you include the cost of repairing the damage done by unearthing the insane war machine with molten claws on the city. Distant artisan calls.
Remember that.
Stalkers, stand by, the Master Foreman shouts. Artisan's not wrong, it says in a much lower voice. For once. That might be more construct than you need. Give me a moment. The eyes wink out for several seconds. I didn't see you playing Cuphead yesterday. I can imagine you've been having a time of it, from what I've managed to see. Although you were starting to get a feel for some things last time I saw. Find me the intact corpse of a Stitches. We can reinforce the carapace and recover the spatial memory system if it's not too far gone. Should lead you straight to its lair. Since you're supplying the materials, I'll waive the cost. I found a Stitches corpse in a dead-end tunnel at the far side of the Underbelly. Will that work for a digging construct? Construct's flickering eyes become a bonfire. Fetchers! It roars. Artificers! Report to the supervisor for a new project. Hours later, the workers trudge back. Nice. Yeah, I need to get on Overwatch. I haven't been. Supervisor makes a complicated hand sign to the Master Foreman. You'll find the construct where you left it. Ready for use, the construct grumbles. I should have asked you for pay after all. Supervisor says it's a masterpiece. Its eyes dim as it descends into deeper thought. But no, a deal's a deal. Say farewell. Well, first thing I need to do is I need to save. We've made some major progress on things. I need to go this way. Whoops. Got stuck on a wall. Stitches automaton. The animated corpse of the Stitches you unearth towers above you, waiting for your commands. Examine the automaton. It isn't difficult spotting the additions that the Master Foreman's workers have made. Opalescent metal fills its wounds, and the mangled claw has been replaced with a mechanical one. Coils of rigid cable spring from patch to patch before plunging into its thorax. Some of its eyes have changed as well. Faint glowing lights blink from otherwise empty sockets. I want you to dig a tunnel to take me somewhere. A shuddering click from behind the creature's blinking eyes is your only response. You sense it's waiting for you to give it a destination. Take me to the Changing God's sanctuary. Sweet. That worked out. Glad I looked around a little bit more. As you emerge into a rough-hewn chamber laced with golden filaments, the automaton makes a series of agitated clicks and begins to retreat toward a tunnel. It seems that the creature cannot, or will not, go any further. This place smells faintly of ozone, and the air crackles with static electricity. It doesn't feel like a place your sire would have built, but the entrance to his sanctuary must be somewhere nearby.
Making a note. Yes.
This. Warm sinews of light lace the wall, spiraling into the base of a hollow statue. It gleams in the same color as the glowing strands. Faint scratchings along the base, about the size of a Stitch's claw, suggest they hit the statue while tunneling and could not extract it. Round tubes with apertures of varying sizes connect to the central drum. A soft breeze from newly dug burrow behind you hums over the openings. The gnarled metallic veins running through the rocky walls deaden the noise from the device. It is unlikely to be heard outside this room. It's blown to one of the apertures. Your stomach flips as if a wave of vibrating air buffets you for a fraction of a second. Golden light flows up from the seams into the statue, forming a looping pattern at the center of the drum. As the rumbling continues, energy coruscates along the veins of rock and running into the device. After the moment, the sound gutters and dies away, but wispy tracings of the pattern continue to glow on the surface. It is approximately the size of a human hand. The shape is more like a dozen tentacles. Place your hand on the light tracing. Same sound you heard before rattles your gut. It sputters but remains on, the acoustics having deteriorated over the millennia. Though the sound is intermittent, there's something fascinating about it that forces you to pay attention. You easily tear your focus away, but the effect might be stronger if the statue were fully intact, especially on a creature with non-human psychology. Tyber chuckles. That thing reminds me of a lass I once saw playing a flute in Ian. Had a pack of gents stumbling after her. Downright captivated. See you tonight, Eric. Have fun with your stream. I may try and drop in a little bit. I'm probably not going to go just, a little bit longer here on this one. Might have been her music. Might have been that she didn't have a single stitch on. Still, I remember her smile the most. Ooh, I can advance. Sweet. Ooh, I have to choose one of these two. Improve skill. Let's see. Intimidation, lore machinery, smashing. Per level healed when any healing ability is used. Plus 50% bonus per level. Academic knowledges of machines, mechanics, and physical sciences. Academic knowledge of the natural sciences and physical creatures. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully I'll see you in a bit. Plus 5 health per level, and ability decreases health by 2. Let's go back. I can increase an edge. Go intellect. Okay. So we've increased that. Which will be a nice little boost. Let's go ahead and save again. So yeah, I think we're going to call that it for today. Got a nice little bit of time put in, made some progress. It'll be interesting to see where all this goes. I've definitely been enjoying it, that's for sure. So thank you guys all for watching. Those of you caught it live here on Twitch. Those of you made it this far in on YouTube. Once again, I'm going to share a link in the Twitch chat. So I'll try and make sure to put one in the YouTube thing for the Orcish calendar. Like I said, if you've not seen it, look up Journey Quest. One word, exactly how it sounds, on YouTube. The first 2 seasons are there, and the series is an absolute blast. And the whole point of the calendar is to help us get help them get seasons 4 and 5 written. So that way we're that much closer to them actually happening. As always, thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate any likes, follows, subscribes. Everything you guys do helps a little bit to bring the channel bring a little bit more people to the channel. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to take a break from this. As much as I want to play more, I need to get back on some of the others. So it'll probably likely either be Bulletstorm or The Evil Within. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll make have an idea then. My Twitter account at Link6413 is the best place to catch what I'm playing and when I'm playing it. I usually try and make a tweet early on as far as what I'll be playing, but I've often forgotten recently, but I always tweet before I go live, and there's always links to the YouTube channel when I have a new video up. But thank you guys all once again. Hope you all have a great day and take care. Bye.